Blog Talk Radio.
We welcome the night.
Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you there?
I'm here. I am.
We are here to start up a brand new marathon, as we're calling it the Year of the Marathon. We have our Christmas Horrors Marathon to begin this month tonight, and man, we're going to start off with something. But before we get into that, Ian, I want to get your thoughts because we kind of joked about it last week with Wonder Woman 84, but now pretty much like two major, well, one that we would be reviewing on the show at the moment would be Conjuring 3, but now it's going to HBO Max, same day in theaters, and that's a little bit of an interesting topic. Everyone's making news about it today, and again, there's some things in there that I'm interested in watching. Of course, Kong versus Godzilla, I'm interested in that, and of course, Conjuring 3. But it sucks, again, however they're going to do it with HBO Max and in theaters at the same time, like they did with I forgot what I don't even know what they did. This year's so one big fart. I have no idea what's what. It just comes and goes. It just comes and goes. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to review those, even though we haven't really reviewed anything else that's like been out in theaters, like Freaky or Come Play or stuff like that.
Right. Because
we've been doing the marathons, and those have been more fun to do than the major reviews that we, what we usually do whenever there's a major release. Just same as Freaky and all those films, because again, as I said, it's more fun. I've had more fun doing these marathons than probably I would have, discussing those films, because we're seeing a lot of stuff that most people wouldn't even touch. So it's been fun.
Some of it's good reason.
For good reason. But yeah, it sucks for 2021 for some of those major releases, but yeah, what can you do? I mean, the world's weird, especially as it continues on. It's like a hangnail. Like you thought 2020 is going to be finished with, but no, here's that little extra piece that's just hanging in there. But yeah, it's just worth mentioning. Two that I'm interested in with Conjuring 3 and of course Kong vs. Godzilla. I hate to, I enjoyed seeing Godzilla films in theaters and of course Conjuring films. You get a better atmosphere with the Conjuring films in the theater than you do streaming or online. It's there, just not as immersive. And then of course Kong vs. Godzilla. If I'm judging by the last two, because I saw Godzilla at the drive-in and then King of the Monsters in the theater. And there's, even though King of the Monsters and both of them is not really that great, but they're still fun to watch in the theater at a big, giant surround sound perspective. And, you get in there and you see all the effects and everything, and it really pops, especially like that scene with Rodan when he goes over the town and it's just like he's sitting on the mountain there and it's like, again, screensaver city, It's, that's what it felt like to me with like Rodan and King Ghidorah. But yeah, it's just like one of those things that you see it on a big screen. It's just like there's something to it. Nonetheless, the theater experience. But nonetheless, I digress. We're here it's just a little bit of news I wanted to bring up because it's just, again, not being able to go to the theater. I mean, I could, but not being able to go to a theater since March, it really gets to you. And you kind of miss it, and you kind of harken back to everything else you've seen from previous years, and you're just like, yeah, I would like to see that. I don't. I'll take some shitty horror movie any day of the week, but again, nonetheless, we're moving on from that major news because we're going to talk about Christmas Blood. This is I think it's a Swedish or a Norwegian film from 2017. I believe it came out on DVD around this time last year. So, again, it's not been out too long. And I was wanting to include it. I was trying to find it last year for, our Christmas Horrors Marathon, but I couldn't find it. And it just came out. So I was like, I'll wait. And here, behold, it's on Tubi now. So we are bringing our review of it. And I should have waited a little bit longer. But nonetheless, Christmas Blood. Let me try to get into this plot here because the names are all over the place here, and the story, it's a simplistic story. But I think it's like I don't know what year it was. It was like 86 or 96 or sometime. But sometime there's a killer who dressed up in a Santa suit, and he starts killing people. I think for like 13 years or somewhere like that. But it's been killing people for a long time. And around Christmas time. It's always midnight on Christmas or Christmas Eve. And he dons his outfit. And we have this detective cop who's been after him for the past 13 years. And he finally, at the beginning of the movie, he tracks him down because the killer, he kills some people in the beginning of the movie. And the detective tracks him down and he shoots him, like they find him off to the side. And like he puts bullets and bullets and bullets, and then 2 in the head, and he's done with it. He retires from the force, and he comes to find out later on that the killer is back, and he has been in a mental institution for the past 6 years, and he escapes, and so he starts a new. And basically, when he killed the people at the beginning with the little girl and I think her father, there was a naughty and nice list with names on it, and that was what he was doing to go after how he tracked down people that he wanted to kill, because he did something that was on the news or in the media, and that's the reason he wrote the names down to go after them. And so now we have, again, sort of like present time. After the 6 years or whatever, we have a new detective that is back, and the killer has escaped in the Santa suit, and he's going to finish off his naughty and nice list, even though I think he goes after one person technically. He's going after, and that is a girl. I forgot her name because, again, names in this film are not rememberable. And I'm not exactly sure. I think it was like the one that they went to her mother's house. So it was the daughter of the mother who escaped, who was on the list of the killer from years prior. And he's going to, I guess, kill the mother, but he killed, going after the daughter instead, whatever. Family bloodline. So we have two plots going on. We have the new detective who is going after the Santa Claus killer, who escaped from the psychiatric ward after surviving multiple bullets and 2 in the head. And we have him going to the old detective who did that to help him with the case of tracking down the Santa killer. And then we have a group of girls, one including the daughter of the one that's on the list, and her friends. One's Australian, one's a mute, one's black, blackish descent. And then, like, they go to her mother's house in the middle of Norway where it's always cold and dark, and to celebrate because they only see each other around this time of the year, I suppose, or her mother just recently passed or something. I don't exactly remember. The dialogue was not good.
I don't either. No.
Yeah, and so they're at this part. They're celebrating Christmas and doing all this stuff, partying, and the killer's after them while the detectives are trying to figure out where he's going to strike next. And that's the general idea of the movie. The movie's it's not a bad movie. It's not. There's parts of good ideas. The only real complaint I have is this film's too fucking slow. It's an hour and 42 minutes, and every minute feels like a half hour because there's not much happening. I mean, it's very slow. The dialogue is very uninteresting, as mentioned. Like I said, the stuff with the Santa killer, it's good. I enjoyed it because it was, full-on slasher. But again, they have good effects too. The practical effects that they use were good, but you don't see it. You see the aftermath of something. You see a severed head on a snowman body. You see the remnants of an axe to the face. You see, just like a pool of blood or blood all over someone's face, or just the after effects of the Santa killer killing somebody. Like the vag stab with the axe and stuff like that. So there's it's the after effects that you see, or the good one at the beginning of the movie with the girl that's split down the middle and with the naughty or nice list on it. Like the effects were good for the practical effects and the gore. They needed to use them in a better advantage to the film because they had all that, and I like the way of the Santa killer because, again, the way I see it, it's basically Michael Myers in a Santa suit. This whole film's basically Halloween in a Santa outfit set in Norway because you have, bloodline going after the daughter of someone. You have, the whole Laurie Strode stuff like that. And it's just long, and just the dialogue is not very interesting, and not a lot happens. I mean, you have the two detectives, cops bickering, sort of, and the one's a drunk. And they could have made a fun slasher movie with the brutality of the Santa killer, because there's something again they do the Michael Myers with when the new detective who's taken over the case and he's talking to people, there's something about him you just knew that it was pure evil, and they make that a case again like Michael Myers where it's pure evil. You didn't think something like that could actually be in the world, and they do this whole thing where he's causing tremors and earthquakes when he walks, and he doesn't die, of course, and he takes multiple bullet wounds and attacks, and he's just this unstoppable force. And I like that aspect in the way he's just so overpowered. There's a scene where again the vag stab, and then the scene where he takes the girl and the axe in the face and lifts her up, and he just has all this brute force. And it would have been so fun to have that with the the gore and the effects that they had, instead of the walking up to a camera and just axing a body like they did, not showing it you don't see it. It's just he's attacking someone, cut to something else, and then somebody finds it, and there's the aftermath. And if you added that with the the brutality of him going after these people, actually showing it. Even though, you don't see much of that in the original Halloween. I get that. I know they're trying to go for that, but it'd have been more fun, to see a little bit more with the attacks and the brutality, and take out half the shit between the fucking party and the girls. Like, there was stuff there that dragged on that did not need to be in there, and it was just redundant. It was just, redundant. And there was just so much dialogue that was uninteresting, and it was just that first, after the initial opening, and then you got the film going a little bit, I was literally trying to keep my eyes open because it was hard to get interested. And I hardly, I was looking forward to it. It was just it was slow. And again, we can stand slow movies. We've reviewed slow movies on this film before, on the show before, and they were more entertaining, even though they were slow burns. But this one was just again, the dialogue sucked. There was non-interesting. There was no atmosphere. There was no tension when characters were being picked off or going around corridors and hallways of the house or the police station or around their little town village that they're at. There was just none of that. You got very minor Christmas kill, Santa killer, and he was cool. I liked it, and I liked his brutality and the parts of it, and I liked the gore effects. But there was just again, it's just so drawn out, and that was the main downfall of this film, that it's so drawn out and so just uninteresting and uninspired. Even though it's taken aspects of Halloween and even a little bit of Seven, because I was thinking, old cop, new cop taking over a case of a killer, and it's just all the showing the gore effects of people walking in on stuff. So I was thinking of Seven as well, and it was just not. And there was aspects there of greatness. Again, the vag stab with the axe. I love that. And then I love the fact that the one girl who got the axe to the face, and then the police chief, the new one, comes in there and he just pukes all over the body while she's still there moving, writhing in pain. I was just see, if they had fun with it and added these little moments of comedy, even though it's subtle comedy, it would have been a fun little slasher movie. But it's just that slow, drawn out way that this film is made doesn't help. Ian, I've discussed everything. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, like you said, it was drawn out to the point to where it was really hard to pay attention. I found myself just looking away a lot just because I was oh my God, I do not care that these girls are partying. I do not give a shit. And that was the problem too. There was a little heartfelt moment between the girls, and then it was over really fucking quick. And there was just it's not set up for you to care about them. There's I did not care about any character in there. When they died, I felt nothing. I didn't feel shock. I was just thank God, this means this movie's almost over. But, I mean, it was really clean looking. It looked really nice. I would say that, and the kills were pretty nice. I did like the Santa himself. I just wish we got more of him than, 20 minutes of an hour and 42-minute movie. And 20 minutes of it was just him killing. So it's they could have honestly just shortened it to an hour and 20 minutes, and that would have been a little bit more tolerable, I think, and just added a couple more scenes with him. I just felt it was missing, and it was just they could have added more threat factor to Santa other than him just chopping people up in half. I did when he was walking down down the stairs going ho, 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 and blowing out all the candles. That was for some reason lined up against the wall. I liked that. I was ooh, that's nice. And they didn't really. And then he hung that girl, or was it the axe to the head? That's what it was. But yeah, no, it's just too much talking, too much partying, and it was just so long, and it makes you feel.
Yeah, and then the two,
second.
and then the two guys there from the Tinder, and then the one wants to date rape the one girl, and the other guy fucks the deaf girl, and no, she's not deaf, she's mute, and like he says, I don't care if you make it sound just don't sound like a retard. Like I don't care if you sound like a retard, make it sound. That's what he said.
Yeah, and I just was like...
But yeah, there's just like a lot of stuff there, too. Again, that whole part, anything that dealt with the party, they could have trimmed down a lot. I know it's supposed to be character development and stuff because the girls haven't seen each other for a while. I get that. But it's pointless. It's literally, there's like no reason. Because you have they could have cut down like the whole the boyfriend who fucked the black chick, previous, and then like that whole spiel of like, how dare you? Like, well, it was before we started dating. Like, well, shit, fuck you still. It was like, I'm sorry that she's an ex and I fucked her. It's like, what am I supposed to do? We're dating now. It shouldn't matter. But then like they have that whole spiel when they have the weed joints and they start messing around. That pisses her off. Then they just leave. And then they're just walking, talking about the cold. And then just like, you could have knocked that down to where they see the Santa on the top of the building. You didn't need that whole cold spiel where he gives her the jacket and then takes it back. And I get it, character development. Still, like, it doesn't matter for this type of movie. Because, like, you pretty much made it clear that they're just cannon fodder to the Santa killer.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't need to do all this dialogue heavy about the cold and the jacket swapping and stuff like that, because like they get killed not soon after that. I don't know.
Exactly, and the dialogue itself is terrible. It like some of the way they talk, the way they deliver lines, is just kind of cringe. Because I know some parts of this movie, is in foreign language and in English. It tripped me up for a second. I was like, wait, I understand this. But, no, it's just like, I don't know, it just felt like most of their lines were delivered, like, really stiffly. Especially, like, the dancing scene, you can kind of tell, like, they didn't really know what they were doing. And, when the black girl, when she was putting her butt up in that girl's face, it's just like, I'm going to bite it. I just was like, this whole scene, I mean, while yes, that part's kind of funny, like, this just needs to be shortened, because how long are they going to party? It's like, I just wanted it to be shorter. Like, everything did need to be cut down at least, like, 20 minutes.
Exactly. That's the main thing about this film, and it could have been flowing so much better. Like could have been hitting all the marks. Like when finally, when he comes in there after seeing the axe to the face and then vomits on it, it would have had a better reaction. Like I got a chuckle out of it because it's funny. Like, oh shit, and he just vomits all over the murder victim. That's hilarious. That's just a funny idea, but it just doesn't. It's there, and then again, it's a moment of brilliance, and it's just like drowned out by the rest of the film. And it's just like, but what the film could have been. We say that a lot. I mean, it could have been better. This is one of those where it needed to tighten up. I wouldn't say the script, because the script's okay because it's a mindless slasher movie set in Christmas, but they could have just took down some of the partying, some of the stuff that didn't need to be there, like that sweater swap scene, and just have him showing walking down and see the Santa suit killer on the rooftop, and then him, the one girl, because it makes sense because they're smoking the weed, and then oh, look at Santa Claus on the, and oh, you're crazy, and then she sees it, and it makes sense to the overall story. You didn't need the jacket swap shit. And then again, a lot of stuff with the detective and how he's drunk and I'm gonna vomit, and all the stuff with him felt sort of over the top in a sense. So I'm not exactly sure where that was going. And then some of the scenes and later on, again, I didn't mind the last act, when the Santa Killer starts doing his stuff, and you get to see again some gore. It's not too much gore. It's just like people holding the entrails, in by their stomach, and it's falling out. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. But again, like some of the other stuff, like the police officer with the decapitated head on the snowman, like the effects were good, practical effects were good. Story not so much, but you don't really need it. You needed to tighten it down, not make it an hour and 42, as we said. Make it, again, because shaved 10 minutes of it off by just nonsense that didn't need to be there, and just tighten down that script, story, to make it flow better. Because I think it would hit all the marks better with a few things missing. Because it, when you look back on it, like it doesn't really add anything to the story. It's just there,
Yeah, and I mean, especially when it comes to bad dialogue, like I could forgive that, but when it's just the bad dialogue and everything just keeps dragging on and on and on, longer than it really needs to. And it's like, I was just sitting there thinking too, I was like, okay, we could have gotten through most of this just like really quick without they could have caught up and just been like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, this, and this. I was like, okay, boom. 10 minutes of dialogue is now like 5 minutes. Boom. Shortened it up a little bit. And then maybe I would have cared about the characters a little bit more than like, oh, let's party and drink and party and drink and talk shit about each other and then have a heartfelt moment and then go back to partying and drinking and smoking weed. And I just like...
And then we need to know more about the Tinder guys and them wanting to fuck which girl, and then the one putting the date break drink in the one girl's cup of alcohol or her drink and watching her vomit and then go upstairs and lay in bed and then, moan. Then the one girl comes up there and checks on her while the date rape guy's in there, and it slowly builds up where he's checking her out and everything. I mean, it's a slow build to a good kill, a fun kill, but still, it just it was long.
Could have been quicker.
Yeah,
it could have been quicker. And that was the only atmosphere that they really felt like they tried to build was the rape. And I was like, just a guy like that, if he's gonna rape her, he's just gonna do it. Not like, oh yeah. I mean, I liked the kill in that, and I was like, oh, Santa, kind of a good guy. And then nope, he kills the girl too. And it's like, all right, but it just was. I don't know. I felt like that would have been
and all the
better
stuff as well. Like you had like the one girl that used to work with the detective checks in, like, oh, I haven't seen him in forever. How is he? Like so many years. Oh, it's good to see you. And then you had the one older police chief checking in on him, and that's when he's like, oh, I got to vomit. And like they're connecting all the stuff. Like there's like again a lot of stuff that just like doesn't really add up. I mean, it's supposed to they're wanting to do this whole like I said, Seven meets Halloween type thing, but it just like it kind of fell flat with the whole slowness of it. It's just like that's the only really major downfall I had was like shorten it, tighten it up, would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have that much else to say about Christmas Blood. Ian, you got any final thoughts?
Nah, there's literally nothing else to say. I mean, because there's nothing really, like, truly happens. Other than, like,
very
all the kills you just mentioned, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a very uninteresting movie, and like I said, it tries, but it doesn't reach its maximum potential, and that's its major downfall. Like it could have been a fun slasher movie around Christmas. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Silent Night remake, Silent Night, Deadly Night, but at least that one was like it tried to have fun with the Santa Killer and everything like that. So it's like very sort of like in the vein of that, but like that one, like at least it was entertaining from beginning to end a little bit, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But it tried to do the whole Killer Santa pretty, respectfully for what it was trying to accomplish for a modern retelling of, modern take of Silent Night, Deadly Night, but a different spin on it. But yeah, like this one, it was there. It had some decent, okay gore. If they used it in the right potential, it could have been good instead of the aftermath. But again, I'm not going to complain because, again, there's been other slasher movies that I've had any blood and guts, and I've kind of liked them because the story was interesting. But this one, like the story, it was okay. It just needed to be trimmed, and it could have been a little bit better. And that's all I really have left to say on Christmas Blood, which will be our first endeavor into our Christmas Horrors Marathon. And next week, I already know, we already planned next week's film with a certain holiday, and I'm looking forward to that one because it's a very interesting, well, I'll say interesting a lot, but it's going to be endearing because it's a certain film is a certain someone's last film, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that one turns out. So you will find out next week what that film will be. Ian, as always, it's great talking with you, and I hope your week turns out good. And thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time.
All right.